Welcome to Moonli. So this is my first video, and yeah, so if you've never seen me on Instagram or seen my blog, I'm Moonli Woman or just Moonli, and I pretty much have an account on Instagram raising awareness about women's menstrual health. Today I wanted to pretty much explain what is Moonli, what am I going to be doing with this YouTube account. In October 2018, I actually moved back from the US to Australia because my partner was living here, and when I was at the airport with my mom, she randomly brought up this issue called period poverty that I had never heard of. And so because she was talking about that and she was telling me that women and girls in England were apparently using socks and cardboard and toilet paper to deal with their menstrual cycle because of the cost of period products. So in my head I was thinking, yeah, that actually makes sense. Like, I thought back to like when I was in college struggling to, eat a meal, that the period products are super expensive. I mean, they're on average, what, $7 to $10 US just to get a few tampons. So yeah, when I got to Australia, I decided that was going to be the issue I was going to tackle. And what I found was that no matter how much research I did in Australia, I could not find answers around it. So typically in the US, England, Canada, they have an actual number of how many uterus owners live in period poverty. In Australia, they don't, and they still don't have it. And back then, I ended up getting into like my advocating mode and emailed the Department of Health, Department of Education, started calling them, emailed UN Women. I emailed a few like non-profit organizations that focus on like domestic violence and stuff, but no one could give me an answer. Honestly, it just seemed like many of them didn't really care even when I called. So I decided this is what I'm gonna do. I am gonna, be this person that can make a difference on period poverty in Australia. So I know I wanted to run a study and everything, and as I kept like trying to figure out what steps I wanted to take, did I want to open a business, a nonprofit, some type of educational platform, a book, I actually decided that I wanted to start educating myself. I realized that I knew absolutely nothing about a period. I mean, when you really think about it, I knew that my period sucked, and that's why I'd been on the birth control pill for 13 years, because anytime I started it, I couldn't walk for 6 hours. That's how much pain I was in. So I knew nothing about it. So I went on YouTube and I found an account called Femhead, which is Victoria. I will link her below in the descriptions. She's really great, and I went to her account to find out more about the books that she's read to get her education on like women's reproductive health. So I got that information, and the first book that I bought was Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. She's really lovely if you ever email her. She's really sweet. And through that, I not only learned that there is a period, but there is a menstrual cycle. And having a period and all those other hormones throughout the menstrual cycle are super vital to our health, and that our period actually tells us so much. And I ended up finishing that book. I didn't originally read that book to do the symptothermal method, which is a non-hormonal birth control method. But after that, I came off the pill. I mean, I was just done with it. I was like, I can't believe I've been on this for 12, 13 years. Like, my body needs a break from it. I need a break from it. I didn't realize that this was actually causing all of these side effects. So I came off of it, and I started like tracking my cycle and doing all of that. And obviously, going back to when I was a kid, when I said that I used to have debilitating cramps, I grew up with the worst cramps and migraines and just hormonal issues in general that most doctors just passed off. The first doctor I went to honestly just said, well, you're super unlucky and either you can get pregnant or go on the pill. And I was in 8th grade, so obviously I went on the pill. But yeah, after that, I also pinpointed that there was something wrong with it. So I came off the pill and I knew there was something wrong with my menstrual cycle. So I was able to do the symptothermal method. And as I kept like gaining more books through people I was following on Instagram now, like through Femhead, or seeing some of the books that Femhead read, I kept coming across this word called endometriosis, and I had heard it before because my aunt actually had it. And when I was younger and we used to go to the doctor with my mom used to say to the doctor, could this be endometriosis, because it literally seems like what my sister had, and the doctors would always brush her off. But as I kept reading these books and doing my own personal research, I kept seeing like all these symptoms that I could just check off. And finally, I went on Instagram and found all these endometriosis accounts that were talking about the exact same experience that I was having. So I did my research, I took it down on this little card, and I told my partner, hey, I'm flying home because I want to know what's wrong with me. And I think it was also more of that like fertility like me being scared of not being able to get pregnant one day. But you know, I did it. We flew back to the US and I flew home. I went to 2 doctors. The first doctor told me I needed to get back on the pill, that there was probably nothing wrong with me, and he performed a pelvic examination and said, well, since there's no evidence of endo through my pelvic examination, I doubt you have it, you just need to get back on the pill. So I left and I went to the second doctor an hour later who verified what I was feeling. She was like, you have done good quality research, like you should honestly, you know, go into medicine, because the research that you've done and the way you were able to tie it to your symptoms all of these years is absolutely amazing. And for me, that was such a good feeling, because I'd gone to the hospital, I've had surgeries, I've had so many surgeries that now I realize go back to, yeah, endometriosis. And so then a month later from that, that doctor that actually listened to me did my lap surgery, which is the only way you can be diagnosed with endometriosis. And yeah, she went in, she did the little lap stuff and looked at the uterus and ovaries, fallopian tubes, and yeah, she found endo everywhere. I mean, I was only stage 2, thank God, but yeah, she found it on like my right ovary, all over my pelvis, all over my bowel and rectum, which I also found out during that first trip home that my bowel and rectum are so stretched from constipation that the doctor still doesn't know today if it'll ever go back to the size that colon should be. So there's a little fun tip about me. I have a very stretched colon and rectum. And yeah, so she went in there and she did ablation and excision. So she went in, did the surgery, I got my diagnosis. And a month later after that, that's when I started Moonli in July 2019, which is just, it was a blog. I love writing, so I started a blog just talking about endometriosis, but also other menstrual cycle issues. I was realizing that I personally find a lot of interest in like naturopathic medicine and nutrition and herbalism, because I personally don't believe our bodies are meant to be in pain. I just think that's something that conventional medicine has started to push out because pharmaceuticals are easier. But based on my research and following a lot of naturopathic doctors, I just gathered so many books, so much knowledge, and just learned so much. And I think after going home and realizing that I was able to go in and advocate for myself in front of doctors that have their doctorate and are easily able to dismiss me like they have my whole life, and finally one believed me, I just want other uterus owners to understand that you don't have to be in pain, you don't have to go through depression, you don't have to do any of that. Sometimes it's linked to something that can be so simply fixed. In that any issue that you're having isn't just because you're unlucky, it's because something is wrong and it's your body's way of communicating to you. And I created Moonli so that everyone can have a basic education of what's happening, that PMS isn't normal, horrible menstrual cramps aren't normal, PCOS isn't normal, PMDD, absolutely feeling like you're going insane before your period, is not normal. Yeah, and that is pretty much what Moonli is. It's now, I've had it for several months and I've really enjoyed the connections that I've made on there. And on this YouTube channel, I'm going to be talking about all of the things. So I'm going to be switching a little bit from the blog to the YouTube and intertwining it. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about endo, I'm going to be talking about PMS, PMDD, fibroids, because I have those too, ovarian cysts, and just some of the research that I've done and other ways of dealing with it. I can talk about my personal experience, and then also I follow doctors like Dr. Jolene Brighton and Dr. Laura Brighton who have great suggestions and have been in this field for ages. Yeah. So this is Moonli, and thanks for visiting. Bye!